Hello and good afternoon, class. How are you doing? Hope that you are fine and in good health. Today, we're going to continue on our lessons where we ended up about 2 weeks ago. Because last week we did the quiz. Congratulations on your quiz. You have done an amazing job on it. Hope you learned from the quiz. Today we're going to be studying Unit 7 from page 60 to 62 for this first video. This is just the first half of this lesson. And in this lesson, it is entitled Buying and Selling Service. We have studied this about 3 or 4 weeks ago about income, expenditures. This is almost the same thing, but now we are going to talk about buying and selling service. So what is buying and selling service? Well, we're going to find that out together. I had a few questions here that I write down that I want to ask you, if you know. In business, what do these words mean? What does the word exchanging mean in your book on page 60? Can anybody give me a hint or give me a clue? Or can anybody tell me right now, what does exchanging mean according to your book in business? Can you turn to page 60 and 61 and take a quick look at it? See the pictures, see the items, see the words on the top. Take a quick look at it, and what does the word exchanging mean just by looking at the pictures? Can you tell me? Can you guess? I want to hear your comments about that. Okay, if you guessed, exchanging means trading products. You are correct. Exchanging, we trade products. Just say I have this pen and I want the pencil that you have. So I'm going to ask you, do you want to exchange it? So that means we are changing products. And in exchanging it, since my pen is worth more than your pencil, I might barter with you. I might ask you to include like maybe 2 pencils for this pen. Because that is a part of business. How to exchange things for money or for other products, which we will learn more about later in this video. Okay, now that you understand exchanging means trading products in business, what are we trading for? Money for what? And as a buyer, what are we purchasing? What are we buying? Just say you walk into a store, a cake store, and you want to buy some cakes. What are those products are we buying? What are those cakes called? And as a seller, the one who sells you the cake, what is he selling? Look at your picture real quick on page 60 and take a quick guess on what the buyer is buying and what the seller is selling. Can you tell me that? We could be in Zoom, so we can discuss this right away. So please meet me in Zoom and we can discuss this. Say, if you guessed as a buyer, what are you purchasing? If you say goods, you are correct. Because as a buyer, we are buying goods. It does not matter what product we are buying. We could buy a book, a pen, a cake, or a soda. Those are all goods. As you can see in the pictures, you have a picture of some drinks, some food, some stationeries, and some fruits. All these are goods. Goods are the product we are purchasing. Okay, as a seller, pretend that I am the owner of the store as a seller. What am I selling? Another hint, look at the pictures. What are we selling? Please communicate with me and tell me. So if you guessed goods again, you are correct. As a seller, I am selling goods, which is the product. And as a buyer, you are also buying goods as a product. So in these 2 products, that as a seller, as a buyer, we are both exchanging goods. Exchanging goods. In exchanging means we are trading goods. So what are we trading for? As the sellers, I am selling you good for money or for cash or for other stuff. So for you as a buyer, you have to have money to exchange it for my goods. Our lessons will entail more in depth about exchanging goods and products. So continue on. Goods are the what? These are goods. Good are the, if you have guessed, product, you are correct. So good are the products. Good are the materials that we are buying or the material that I am selling. These are all in your pages, and I'm just reviewing them so we'll give you some hint. When you read more on your lessons, you will understand. Okay, at the end, on the bottom of the board, I have wrote down services. By looking at your pictures at the bottom of the book, explain to me what is services or what are services. Please tell me in Telegram, or we can go to Zoom and talk about this. I will not give you the clue or hint now. This is something we will be discussing throughout our conversation on this video and on Telegram and on Zoom. So please join in and have a discussion with me. Okay, your task for this first video is read page 60 and 61. On page 61, there are some example of buying and selling, exchanging goods in these boxes. Read these boxes and it will help and guide you to our first task. And on our first task, I have wrote down some questions right here, 3 questions for you to answer. I want you to answer this question in your notebook, but don't just give me a yes or a no answer. Give me an in-depth answer. That means answer it with 1 or 2 sentences. So explain your answer real good to me. And the first question is, what are some goods you will need as a student? So we know goods are the products. What are some goods you will need as a student? Number 2, where can you find these goods? At what service or at what selling place? And what service do you get them from? So please, when you write your answers, explain it to me in depth. And the last question that I wrote down, pretend that if you are selling coffee, 2 E's. If you're selling coffees, what kind of goods will you need? What kind of product will you need to sell coffee? Do you need the coffee itself? Do you need the coffee makers? And what other products do you need? And where can you get these goods for you to start up selling coffees? You will have 40 minutes to answer these questions. And we will be communicating in Zoom or Telegram. So if you have any questions, ask me and I will explain it to you. Thank you, and until our next video, bye. Hello, and welcome back to our second video for today's lessons. Our first videos, we talked about exchanging products, what is exchanging, and what does the buyer buys, and what does the seller sells, and what goods are. And thank you for our talks about services. We will continue to talk about our services on our second task. And on our second task, I have some keywords here for you. On second task is on page 62 in your book. On page 62 talks about unpaid exchanges and paid exchanges. Just by a quick look at the pictures without reading the text, what is unpaid exchanges? What is paid exchanges? We can continue talking about this on our Telegram post. And I want you to read page 62 and 63. It will tell you the definition of unpaid exchanges and paid exchanges. I'm going to give you one example of unpaid exchanges. And unpaid exchanges is if I was selling fruits and you were selling like other products, for example, clothes, and I wanted to buy some clothes and you needed some fruits. So we meet, and instead of you paying me with your money for my fruits, you pay me with the stuff you are buying, which is the clothes. So you give me the clothes for my fruit products that I'm selling you. So there is no money involved in the transaction. We didn't use no money, just the products that you are selling and the products I am selling, we are trading. We are exchanging these goods for no money. That is called unpaid exchanges. And paid exchanges, you will read the text and you will find out what paid exchanges is. And I want you to, in your notebook, write down what does paid exchanges mean and unpaid exchanges. Once you write down these words, please send it to my personal telegram and I will correct it and give you your feedbacks on the assignments. Okay, on to our task 2 assignments. I want you to write a paragraph in your notebook. A paragraph means almost one whole notebook. Here is my questions. What are the differences between unpaid exchanges and paid exchanges of goods and services? So I'm asking you, what is the differences between unpaid and paid exchanges? I want you to write a paragraph explaining your meaning, what these words mean. You will be given 40 minutes to complete this task because you will have to do a lot of writings. I know some of you love that. Okay, once your 40 minutes is up, please submit your work to my personal telegram and I will correct it and give you feedback on your answers. Till our last video, bye. Hello and welcome back to our last videos for today's lessons. Today's lessons we talked about buying and selling services. So in business, what do we do? And as a buyer, what do you do? This is what we talk about exchanging. As a buyer, we are purchasing goods. And as a seller, we are selling goods. And these goods are, as we learned in our subject and as we discussed through Zoom and Telegram, we know that these goods are the products. The products are the things. For example, like this pen, like this shirt I'm wearing, or like what are you using right now? Maybe a phone or a laptop. Those are all considered products. They are all considered things where you have to buy it from somewhere and from a service. As we have learned, a service is a place where they sell products. Like a service for fast food is where they sell food. Or a service where they sell electronic parts. It's where they sell phones, laptops, and all other stuff. So we have talked about exchanging this service, buying and purchasing goods, and where do we get them from. And now on to our last task for today is your homework. And in your homework, I want you to write all this, the questions and the answers in your notebook. Once you have completed your homework, please send it to my personal telegram so I can correct it and give it back to you. There are 4 questions that I wrote down on this board. The first question is, exchanging things for money is called, we have learned that in video 2, exchanging money for things is called. And question number 3, this is the tricky question. I want you to write a paragraph. As I explained in video 2, a paragraph means almost a whole page in your notebook, explaining question 1. So I want you to write a paragraph explaining question 1. And question number 4, I want you to write a paragraph explaining question 2. So today's lesson is all about writing and understanding what you read. So I hope you will pick up a lot of writing skills about businesses and about the good and purchase things that we purchase. You will be given, well, you will have 1 whole week to submit in your homework. You can submit in for me today if you are fast, but I know most of you will be likely in a few days. So until our next video, be safe, stay healthy, and bye.